Hello and welcome to Wildly Basic. I'm Denise McLeod.
I'm Whitney Hunt.
And today we have Lee Zanstra from Christ Lutheran Church right here in Waterford.
Yes.
And you're going to talk with us a little bit, but I want to know what your, show us your shirt.
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me back. And my shirt says, "Justice is love out loud." So one of the things that I and some other Christians, especially Lutherans, believe that love is best when it's expressed. Like you can say, I love you, but unless there's some action behind it, it's just like hollow, right? So if you want to know what love looks like.
Well, now.
I found that funny.
Clearly.
Why?
Clearly.
I love you, Whitney.
Uh-huh. Don't you just Now, see, my first thought was...
Sorry, that was just...
My first thought to that... Well, see, no, mine's worse than yours.
Okay, go.
Okay.
Because I immediately went to, like, oh, I love you, but I'm going to beat the shit out of you. That's my love.
That's even worse than mine.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
It's pretty f***ed up.
Seriously. Who are you talking about?
Just in general.
Okay.
Do you
I
beat
love
Denise?
you.
up?
Well,
like a family
because you
member?
said express your love. You know, people have different definitions.
That's
They
true.
they think that's love.
They do. And then we can have the conversation about what are the hallmarks of healthy love
Yep.
and what are the hallmarks of unhealthy love.
Yep.
So that can be, so yes, if one were to beat up every single person that they love, that might warrant a conversation to say, I wonder if there are other
That's
ways
not love.
to express.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's not
What's
love.
is it Corinthians? Love
1
is-
Corinthians 13 is the whole laundry list. Love is patient. Love is kind. Does not.
So basically they're saying
envy.
it's a good thing. So anything beyond that,
generally
jealousy and all that
harming
stuff,
another.
beyond that, it's not love.
Generally harming another human being does not fall under the category of
Well,
love.
I mean, if you're suffering at all with this person, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if they don't really want to talk to you and they don't really want to be around you, but you're like, but I love you.
No.
That's not love.
No.
That's like,
I'm just putting up with you.
yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Love is respecting boundaries. Love is active listening to what the other person is saying that they need and they want. Love
Correct.
is mutual conversation. And you can be mad when you love someone. That's totally fine.
Mhm.
It's super normal. It's what do you do? There's super healthy
It's how you
ways.
react.
Ding, ding, ding. Gold star. Yep.
Ding, ding, ding. You
Ding.
have the answer.
And anger can actually be a really helpful emotion. Anger is what gives us fuel to go change whatever it is.
Oh, really?
It can
Can
be.
we put that on repeat?
Well, yes, we can loop that.
Thank you.
Why do you say that?
Oh, no reason.
You have to say what you're talking about.
I'll flat out say it. I've had anger issues.
Okay.
And every time I can justify my anger, it's, oh, no, you shouldn't. No, I shouldn't be angry. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll take that out.
Let's see what Lee says.
About anger?
Yeah.
Well, in general, obviously, I do not know the specifics of which you're talking about. In my world, again, anger, it's kind of like fire, right? It can be super helpful. It can be life-saving. Also has the potential to do the complete opposite. So it's what we do with it. So finding ways, learning ways to channel that anger into something positive, to figure out holy anger is a good thing. Jesus got mad. Just 2 Sundays ago, we had the story where Jesus walks into the temple and it's just like a marketplace and he starts overturning tables. Like he's not just, hey guys, this isn't cool. He's literally making a huge commotion, a huge mess. It's like, this is not right. So holy anger fueled him because he saw an injustice. And that particular day, I wore a shirt that said "Good Trouble," which is a quote from the late Congressman John Lewis from Georgia, who died just this past July. But his big thing was, when you see something that's wrong, when you see injustice, do something, say something, and if you have to, get into good trouble to help.
Got it.
No, I got it, but it can be contradicted in so many ways. It's ridiculous.
It can, and I will say in our culture, especially, I believe that the three of us identify as females at this table. Women aren't socialized that it's okay to be angry. not the way that,
Not
that
me.
men are, or it's not as accepted,
Mm.
right? Like socially
Right.
accepted.
Right.
In some circles, perhaps not yours, which is lovely. Everyone should be able to express when they see something that is not as it should be, and then find constructive ways to fix it.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
What are some constructive ways?
Well,
What are the tools?
actually dealing with the problem and not pretending that it never happened?
Oh, there you
Excellent.
go.
So the flip side of that is denial. Denial is not helpful. So yeah, I think Whitney's got this one.
Okay, good.
I don't think
You got it.
Gosh,
You got it, girl. You do.
I'm slightly smart.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a
You're
surprise.
very smart. Come on.
very smart.
Okay. Wow, this show really took off right away, didn't it?
Good stuff.
Okay. So how's it been going at Christ Lutheran?
Oh,
And
we
the COVID
are.
thing and
Yeah, we're hanging in there. So for us, we're in the middle of Lent. There are there's different flavors of Christians, like ice cream. So our flavor, along with folks like Catholics and Episcopalians, we're in the middle of Lent, which is this 40-day season that kind of gets us ready for Holy Week and Jesus' death and resurrection. Just like we got to get ready for spring, get ready for, the biggest event on the Christian calendar. So that's going well. We're really excited that Easter is around the corner, that good weather is around the corner, which means we can worship outside and do more things like that, get together.
That's good. So you said there's different types of Christians and all
Yeah.
that. What are the differes?
Sure.
Like why is there? I mean, there's kind of a debate between those. I mean, what? Why is there such a separation between Christians or Baptists or whatever they're? Sorry, I don't know.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. Just like there's different flavors of ice cream, but they're all ice cream.
But isn't
Right.
it all supposed to be the same thing?
In theory,
I mean, because ice cream's based off of dairy, right? You have a base.
right.
it is. So there is
yeah.
a base that we all believe in the triune God. So that's the base. So that's the dairy part, right? If you look at it from a positive point of view, I'm really glad there's not just vanilla ice cream, right? Because look at all the things we miss. Again, if we look at it positively, and there's ways to look at it negatively, and I don't want to negate those, but positively, each tradition, whether it's Lutheran, Episcopalian, Baptist, Catholic, Presbyterian, Methodist, every flavor has something that they're really good at, right? So mint chocolate chip brings something to the table that butter pecan doesn't. So everyone's got something really good in their tradition.
Makes sense.
Okay.
And again, in the best cases, all those flavors work together, toward the common goal, which is doing good in the world, letting folks know that they are loved beyond their wildest imagination by God, and that kind of love changes the world.
So why do people get angry about?
Yeah, good question, right?
About
People get angry about
Baptists get angry with
everything.
Lutherans, or Catholics get angry with Lutherans.
Right.
Why? I mean, what's that about?
that's
Interpretation, maybe.
might be part of it. Might be part of it. I find that in my experience, anger never is an emotion that never travels by itself. It's always traveling with something else. And anger is the easier thing to feel or to express.
What do you mean by it travels with something else? What do you mean by that? Like,
What I mean, so let's say that someone from another tradition came into my church and was so angry because I'm a female pastor, or because Lutherans do that, and was just so angry. He or she would be entitled to that. My question is, what's behind the anger? Is it fear? Is it disappointment? Is it insecurity? It doesn't mean that the anger isn't real, but it's always like a tag team buddy. Anger 99% of the time is never just the only emotion. It's just way easier to be mad than to say, I was raised my whole life that female pastors are wrong, and yet I see you and I don't know what to do with that, and that's just too overwhelming, so I'm just going to be mad. Okay, I get that. If I've been told something for 50 years and suddenly I see something different, I'm going to be really confused too. That's going to shake my theological foundation.
So, okay, I have a question then. It just popped up here. So, if you're going to a church you're learning about the church,
Sure.
you're learning about the church. In that teaching, could you throw in teaching of what all the other churches are too? Like the differences?
Sure. I mean,
Possibly.
So compare and
So like
contrast?
you can walk into,
Yeah.
I mean, you
Okay.
have to go in, you have to take classes, and, at least I did. And then I liked it, though.
You had to
I
take
thought it should
classes
be
to
on,
join the church?
well, yeah, you do, don't you? I did.
every church does it differently.
Yeah.
Some call it classes. Some
It's not
call
classes,
it like
it's
a
something else. What is it called? But anyway.
an intro.
Yeah.
Well, let's put this out there. I don't know
yeah.
if we mentioned this. I never went to church, so I
Okay.
don't know.
Don't know
about this.
That's what the
That's why
show's
I'm-
about. That's what the
okay.
show's about. So when
So-
you walk into a
right.
church, I liked learning about other religions and how Lutherans became Lutherans. I like that. I wanted John to put that on the air. I'm like, come and teach that, put it on the air.
Oh, nice.
Because he's talking about the history of how it happened and why it happened. But also, it would be nice to have the history of some of the other churches and what their differences are from Lutheran.
Yeah.
So that when you walk into a church, you don't have to take all these classes and become a member and sit there and then find out you don't want to be at this church. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then
I
you
just
could
didn't know
say-
that you would have to take classes to join the church.
Well, it's
That's
more
what
of an
baffled me.
education thing. So that you can
Part of
kinda-
it.
Yeah, she'll tell you.
But isn't that the whole point of, like, you shouldn't have to take classes to go to church because you
It's
already
not
know
really a
that you want to essentially study and learn the Bible.
I totally
in the
get
community?
where you're coming from. You're seeing it as like, oh my gosh, why are you putting up a barrier when I'm clearly here and I clearly want to be.
Right.
So maybe if you could reframe it or think about it a different way, like Denise said, especially if you've never been to a church, you walk in, there's lots of flavors. Like if you are allergic to peanut butter, you need to know if this flavor is peanut butter, fudge.
Yeah.
So the classes are a chance to be like, hey, here's who we are. Here are the things that are important to us so that if you're cool with that, awesome. If you're not cool with that, let me know. I can try to help you find the place
Okay, that makes
that
sense.
is
That's
cool
what I'm
with you.
talking about. Okay, yeah.
So it's less, you have to learn this and take a test and maybe then you'll be good enough. No.
It's not like
no,
that.
no,
Not like
okay.
that at all.
Partially because nowadays people grow up all sorts of different ways, right? I met a little boy in the parking lot because we have a really great parking lot, and he had to come in and use the bathroom, and he's like looking around, and I said, do you want to go look in the sanctuary? He's like, yeah, I've never been in a church. I'm like, okay, cool. So we give him the little 5-minute tour. So we offer classes because we don't assume you shouldn't have to do research before you come in, right? So we're trying to make it easier for folks. Here's who we are. Here's our values. We'd love for you to join us if that works for you.
And you don't really have to take classes. You could just go and sit and listen.
Oh, yeah. It's not like you have
Right.
to.
They don't make
Right.
you do it.
Okay.
No.
You could sit and come in every Sunday and just sit down because you want to hear what they have to say. But if
The
you
classes
think-
are, if you want to become a member,
yeah,
like
if you
an
want to become
official
a member and
voting.
and kind of,
Now,
get the
can
feel.
you explain this to me? Why do you have to become a member of a church? Like,
You don't
if you
have
go in
to.
and
You don't have to.
Well, how do you phrase this? Okay, so I go in a few weeks, like, okay, this is cool, and then you become a member, as you are saying.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
What is the difference? I mean, what between me just coming in,
Sure.
Every Sunday
It's kind
to
of like Media Network, being a volunteer here.
okay,
If you like the people and you get a good feel for the church,
right?
you want to volunteer for them. You want to help them. You want to help the community.
So you're just kind
So,
of making yourself more
You're saying
known.
I'm committing
in-
myself to this church. Am I right?
Yeah. And I also, Whitney, I want you to hear clearly, nobody ever has to join a church.
Right.
In our theology, we believe that you're a loved child of God no matter what. Like nothing is dependent on that. At my previous church, we had a couple that they just came for like 3 years. And when we would offer new classes, we'd be like, hey, just so you know, there's going to be a new class. They're like, we're good. I'm like, all right, that's cool. When they were ready, and it's okay if they were never ready. The logistical piece is that you get to vote when we do our annual meeting. Just like most organizations, you vote on a budget, you vote on officers, you vote on sometimes important things like like Christ Lutheran a couple years ago, they voted to do the thing that makes them LGBT friendly publicly. That's a vote. So just like any organization, if you want to have, you can always have voice. It's if you have voice and vote.
All right, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Great questions, ladies.
All right. So now you're in the church.
Yes.
Let's just say you're there.
Yes. You picked your church.
You're a
You like
member
it.
now. You had your classes. You're a member. You love the people. Let's go into the council,
Oh.
because every church has a council.
It's called different things. There's
Ridiculous.
counselors, board of elders, consistory, vestry, lots of fun.
And what
Fun
are
names.
they supposed to do? And they're members of the church. They
They
from
are.
the members of the church.
They are. Again, that we were talking earlier, like any nonprofit, there's some governing group of people that it is their job to help make sure the goals and the mission of that organization are happening in a timely and correct and healthy manner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're like the executive director then.
Yeah, this is where churches are just a little bit different.
All right.
I'm the pastor. Like, there's
Well, I
really
know.
not too many other things.
You're in charge of the religious part of it.
Isn't the whole thing religious?
Oh.
Oh.
Point for Whitney.
You win. Okay, explain.
So at a council table, just like at any nonprofit, so there's someone who they're there at the table to help us understand the finances. There's someone else at the table to help us know the service things we're doing. Someone else to help us understand the administrative thing. My job, the pastor's job, is to sit at the table and to make sure that we are keeping focused on our theological values.
So then they decide what you're doing as far as money and all this stuff, but you are in charge of the theological stuff.
Well, we all do it together
Okay.
because even the budget is theological. Every budget is a moral statement, no matter whether you're a nonprofit or a
I
for-profit.
didn't think of it that way. I guess that would be right.
Hmm.
It would
Right?
be
We put
more-
our money where our values are.
Okay. So I'm just gonna ask this,
Uh-oh. Here it
and
comes.
we'll
Here you
cut
go.
it out if you don't like it. But
Okay, yeah.
so I asked you before. I'm like,
Yes.
so we have board of directors,
Mhm.
and other nonprofits have a board of directors.
Sure,
Mhm.
sure.
And it happens sometimes that sometimes the board of directors get stacked a little bit,
Okay,
one side or the other.
sure.
So what happens if the council, or whatever you're going to call it, gets a little bit too many friends on one side, whether they're liberal or conservative, and it kind of stops, it kind of heads the direction they want it to be.
Yeah, a little pick and choosing
Yeah.
of.
And you'll have to help me because I only have experience with church councils, not as much. Do you have term limits on your board?
Yes,
Do you know what they are?
2 years.
Okay. So we have a similar thing,
Okay.
partially because rotation is just always helpful in general.
Yeah.
Partially so that you don't
Better
incur
ideas. Mm.
burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New ideas, new people come in.
Mhm.
I can't say that it never happens because humans are humans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the board is elected in a congregation. The whole congregation has to vote on the people that they want on council.
Mm.
So if there's 2 spots open, you can put your name in,
Mm-hmm.
and then everyone gets a ballot. And if there's 3 names and there's 2 spots, you vote for 2. So it's not one person filling board seats. It's every voting member gets a vote, kind of like an election.
Okay.
It is an election.
So if that happened at your church, which I'm not saying it did,
Sure.
or is going to happen, but how as a pastor would you deal with that?
Theoretically. That's a long pause. My job as the pastor is to make sure that all of my people's voices and concerns are being heard. We also have a spot in our council meeting every month called Voices of the Congregation. So anybody can bring any topic at any time that they feel needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
And I don't know how board meetings are for church council meetings. They are open meetings, which
Mhm.
means
Yeah.
you can come
Yep.
every single time. You have voice, no vote.
Okay. And I'm only asking
Yeah.
this because if you've never been in a church and you could go through the classes and stuff, I mean, things change.
Sure.
Things can change in that church.
Sure.
Okay.
All the
That's
time.
all I'm
Much,
saying.
yeah, much
And
like
that's
any
all I
place.
want you to know because it's important to know, I think.
What is? I mean, it's not just the pastor who's standing in front of you,
Right.
but it's everybody behind that.
Right.
Again, I can only speak for the Lutheran ice cream flavor. There are some traditions that are structured a little bit differently, where the pastor kind of has final veto power on everything.
And that could be bad too.
Well, anything has
Yeah.
the potential.
Okay.
We have a more spread out power system structure, and some denominations have a little more up and down hierarchy.
All right.
I'm going to throw this out there.
Yeah, go
Okay?
for it.
We're going to get real. We're
Well,
gonna
let's get real.
We're going to get real. And you know I don't get personal on shows. Okay.
Okay.
Right?
You're worrying me.
Yeah, I know. I like to do that once a day.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, you bring up church to somebody,
Sure.
and they kind of do almost like what I did earlier today and roll your eyes and go, really, why?
Mm-hmm.
How would you explain to somebody that it's not necessarily a bad thing? Because you've been trying to get me to come to like craft
night.
night.
It's
and
so fun.
like there was something else.
There's
What was
one
it?
on
Oh, the
Monday.
bell thing.
Oh, I love the bells.
You were trying to get me to do
Yeah.
the bells, which granted I loved because I have done that in the past.
Oh, those bells.
Yeah, the
yeah.
ding, ding,
yeah,
yeah.
those bells. I thought you meant like the.
no,
Okay.
no,
All
not
right.
the.
I'm into the.
No, I was
big
talking
bell.
about the little handbell.
Yeah,
yeah,
handbell.
which, like I said, I love those things. So you
Okay.
almost got me on that.
But you can still do it.
Yeah, no. Why, you may ask?
Okay.
I told you several times.
No, you didn't. But
Yes,
don't
I have.
remember. Go
Yes.
ahead. Tell her.
Church buildings
Yes.
give me so much anxiety
Okay.
that I will not set foot in them,
Okay.
and that's why I won't do it.
Okay.
So I have told you
Oh,
that.
You know, she said there's ghosts in the church.
Okay, I might
And
go
I
in there
say
by that.
to you, and I said that to you.
Yes.
And you said, "Let's do it.
Yes,
Let's go."
that's the only one reason.
So you'll go for ghosts.
I will
but you
go
won't
for that.
For bells.
Yes. You're also never mind. I won't say that on TV. I'm a little on the opposite of churches.
Okay.
In some people's eyes. So
Did you have a bad experience
for churches,
from churches?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I never really was raised religious or anything like that.
Do you think like lightning's gonna strike? You walk in the door.
No.
No.
I don't know why. It's very odd. Like I've been in churches, I've been to church events with people, but
So you like outdoor events, but not indoor events.
no. I don't like church events.
You know, it could be
It's
because you're
very
very
odd.
sensitive, and then you can feel all the history that was in the church, good or bad.
Maybe I
All
don't
the
know.
funerals
Like I said, I was kind of
all
on the
weddings.
opposite end of when it comes to religion. I was a little on the other end of
Okay. Okay.
practicing certain things.
So let me ask her this question then.
Wait. She's gonna ask a question.
go
now.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was
apologize.
just gonna ask her, how do you explain to people that do the whole eye roll, like, oh my God, I don't want to go into the building. You know, how do you explain to them? It's okay.
How to explain to them it's okay, you can come in the building,
Yeah,
or
like
it's
just
okay,
to kind
that's
of
cool.
ease the anxiety
Well,
of.
that goes with the question I was going to ask her though,
Right.
which is, why should people go to church? Like what? I mean, yeah, they learn about
Yeah.
God,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
but what else is at the church
Okay.
that could be helpful or that
Right.
people don't know about?
Because I want to run off that. I'm going to
Okay.
add to that question
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
It's a question within a question within a question.
All right.
Because I think I've asked you last time you were on.
Mhm.
I don't need to be in a building
Mhm.
to, worship Jesus or God or whatever I want to do, with the Bible or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the building on a Sunday.
Correct.
So, yeah, why do you have to?
She's going to
not
tell you
have to?
casserole. That's her answer for that.
Well, that's part of my answer. That's part
because
of my answer.
this is part of. She's going to answer it now. She's going to answer it
Uh-huh.
about what is important about the church. That besides Jesus, what
there's
is at the
more
church?
to it.
Yeah, what's more?
So-
What do you guys do?
Okay, so that was a lot of really good questions. I'm going to try
All right.
to honor each of them. Try to go in order. So your first question, if someone has anxiety,
Yeah.
I will never do anything to increase anyone's anxiety. Generally, if people have anxiety about coming into a church building, there is a reason, whether they know it or not. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So our job is to never force or pressure or guilt. Is just to support you where you are on your journey of faith. If you ever wanted to talk about or explore, I'm a big fan that generally when we have anxiety about something, there's been some negative experience, which of course church has done. When we say church, like just Christians in general, we've done a lot of damage to a lot of different people.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people should have anxiety. There are some people that should not go into church because of the trauma that's happened to them that needs to heal first. So please hear me. You're right. You don't have to be in a church building to have a relationship with God, to have a relationship with Jesus. If you can find a healthy and a good fit congregation that does those things, it can only help. And to Denise's question, what's the point of church? Why should you go? As Lutherans, we don't like the word should. We do not like it, right? Because should implies this.
You have to do it right now.
Yes.
I
We
didn't
believe
hear that.
that,
I know it.
All right.
that God is far more invitational than anybody thinks. God wants us to have the good things in life. God wants us to have community and friends and healthy relationships and the joy of generosity and all those things. And church is a way to help us learn those things. I can't remember if I mentioned her on the show last time. Pastor Nadia Boltz-Weber is one of my favorite Lutheran pastors. She says church at its best, you should look at a congregation and say, I have literally no idea what all of these people have in common. Because at its best,
I have no idea.
At its best, everyone knows they're welcome. And everyone should be so different, have different interests, have different hobbies, look different, sound different. But the one unifying factor is God's love. That's what lets all those different people be in the same room at the same time, right? Because we don't have to be the same. God loves diversity. God could have made one kind of dog. Let's just go there. But God said, no, I'm going to give you all these awesome kinds of dogs.
So I'm going to throw this in the mix a little bit because it was something I saw recently on a YouTuber I follow. And I don't know if you've ever watched or heard of the Duggars, the 19 Kids and Counting.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Oh, wow.
You really should.
What's it called again?
19 Kids and Counting, or Counting On. It's the Duggar family.
No, I don't watch that.
You really should. It'd piss you off.
I don't want to be pissed off.
Well, one of the daughters got married and moved to LA.
Okay.
And her husband went to the church that's out there. I forget what it's called.
Okay.
And they've been in the news recently because they've been holding, a full-on service, no masks. They don't care about the COVID issues. And recently, the pastor there came out with a statement about, if I'm going to quote this right, essentially, the other religions are wrong, and what they preach is just that. And essentially, when you brought up diversity, that's what made me think of it. There is no diversity with them. It's, the men do this, the women do that, X, Y, Z, and end of story. So.
Yeah. So within all the Christian ice cream flavors, right? Or if it's on a spectrum, there are some more evangelical or conservative, whatever kind of word, and even labels can get a little dicey, but there are some folks that interpret the Bible in a particular way. We all do, right? So in their particular interpretation, things are a little more black and white, and that can be really, in some ways, really nice. What's in this category, what's in that category. That can be very appealing to some folks. And it does seem that like those evangelical, more conservative churches, they tend to not wear the masks as much. They tend to focus a little bit more on the kind of this a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
The shoulds and the this, and that's their flavor of ice cream. It's not one that I ascribe to. It's one that I think has done a lot of harm to a lot of people. I grew up in a tradition like that. There's some good points to it. It's how I learned my Bible. Because there's redeeming qualities in everything and everyone. But I don't ascribe to it anymore, and I left that tradition because of the harm that I saw it doing. And the God that I understood, the God that I found through other faith communities, through other teachers, through other pastors, that was a God that made sense to my life experience.
So can you tell people, or have you told somebody, just because you grew up in this situation, but you have a deeper belief that, like your situation, you didn't believe in the hate and the hurt that was happening, that's okay to move to a different...
Oh, yeah.
Have you told anybody that?
I kind of feel like I'm a walking billboard for it, but clearly not enough. Because isn't this the cool thing too? The more that we get to talk with each other and actually listen to each other's stories, it comes out, right? Like you and I are just talking, and now we're just finding this out. How great is that? This wasn't planned. This wasn't staged. Sometimes in preaching, it can come out. I talk to my confirmation kids about this sort of stuff. I want young people to know that. And what's interesting about the Lutheran faith, so again, if all different Christian beliefs are on a spectrum, those of us on this end of the spectrum will get some kind of former evangelicals, former conservative folks who, because God's been working in their life, have started to be like, there's got to be something. There's something. And God can lead them to a YouTube video, a website, a friend who mentions that, their church did this. I've had friends who've grown up in different traditions and we've met outside of church, and I'll say like, oh, my church did this. And they're like, your church did what? Because we don't know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So relationships are just the fundamental key to that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just don't be afraid to move on to something that you truly believe in.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of people that, nope, I was raised like that. That's what I have to believe. And they're afraid to move to something that they want,
right,
to be okay with.
And fear.
Fear of.
Yeah. Fear is a real thing, whether it's in religion or in anything, but especially it's so insidious in religion when fear is used as a motivating factor. God has never used fear as a tactic. That is not in God's arsenal. That is never God's preferred way. That is not the God of love. But when you're told over and over again, this is the only way. This is the only way to understand things. This is the only way to look at things. This is the only way the world works. And if you leave, you're going to hell. You're going to be damned. Well, I'd be scared too.
Yeah.
If that's all
or
I'd
cut
ever
off from
heard.
Your family.
Right. And all of us probably could think hard, and we know people, not just TV shows or things, people who are cut off because of that, because of fear.
Do you want to talk about the Pope and same-sex marriages?
Mm.
Because
didn't he say something about how he was for that? He was like the first Pope to say that he was for it?
Yes. So the current Pope has done more than most recent popes in terms of LGBT folks, Catholics. He has advocated for their dignity, even so far as to advocate for civil legal protections, whether it's a civil union. Again, believing that all people made in God's image have God's dignity. So what came out this week from the Vatican was, in some ways, it wasn't a new piece of information. The Catholic Church has never sanctioned the blessing of same-sex marriages. So it was more clarifying, because some people thought, kind of watching this trajectory, that maybe that would be the next place that the Pope might make a different statement. So this was a clarification of that would not be happening at this time. Lutherans and Catholics have an interesting history. 30-second version. Martin Luther was a Catholic monk, and he saw some things going on in the Catholic Church, because there was only the Catholic Church back then, that were harming people, and he wanted to fix those. He just wanted to stop the things that were hurting people. He never had any intention, never wanted to break away. He loved his church dearly. The church at large said, nope, we're not going to go that direction, so you can leave, and kicked them out. And that became the Protestant Reformation. That was the first time the tree trunk of Christianity, not the first time, but one of the major times that there was a major split. So now we have Catholic and we have Protestants. And the Catholic trunk of the tree kept pretty straight. There's Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox, Syrian Orthodox, those sorts of things. And then the Protestant Reformation, now you've got like the 1,000 branches of Baptists and Lutherans and AMEs and all these things. So it's like a close relative that we don't get along with, but we're still really close and we agree on a lot of things. So as Lutherans, our hearts are broken for our Catholic LGBTQ siblings who had to hear that officially this week, to be reminded again that their love and their relationships are not holy in God's eyes. And our job is to stand in solidarity with them and let them know that there are other siblings in the Christian faith who do not think that, who affirm and celebrate their love as holy, and whatever we can do to support them, we want to do.
Okay. Any plans for the future now with COVID? You guys opening up again?
$1 million question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're so excited that vaccines are becoming more accessible, and a number of our members have gotten their first or second shots. I get this question at least 5 times a day now. So for our flavor of Christianity, our bishop has admonished us that we're so close. If we can just be patient, just a little longer, we've done so well. And to let down our guard now is not in the best interest of our neighbor. We should always be looking at what is most helpful to the marginalized, the weakest among us, the most vulnerable. So for ELCA Lutherans, we're saying we're so close. So what we're going to do is, it's starting to get warmer. We're going to have Palm Sunday service outside, Easter Sunday worship outside. We've had Lenten midweek services outside. Michiganders, these are tough folks. Like, it just needs to be above 30 and people show up.
That's right.
So,
It's warm out right now.
You hit 40 and you got hoodies.
and we're
Yeah.
good. We're good. So I've been, we've got a great parking lot. We have a sound system that can handle these things. So we're really excited that we're going to be able to gather, especially for these really important holidays on our calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, it's nice talking to you again.
Thanks for
Lovely
having
when
me.
coming in.
Yeah, we love you coming in. We'll ask you again because we have so many questions.
Oh yeah, we could probably
on
sit here and
forever.
debate for.
Go on forever
Yeah.
and ever.
Well, I would
I don't
be
know. Maybe
very
next
happy.
time we can do a little special on a little ghost adventure
Oh, yeah.
in the church.
We could do
I will
that.
go in that church for a freaking go.
Awesome.
See,
you want to come
that's
on
what-
Monday night?
Jesus. I gotta look at my calendar, but
Let's say
okay.
goodbye.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for coming in and talking to us.
Yes,
and
thank you both.
We'll call you again soon.
Sounds great.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks,
Right.
ladies.
Thanks. Bye.